Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18. That's Public Access TV. I'm Dirk Keller. This is Bob Boyd. This is Bud Supple over here, and we've got a very familiar face back on the set. Earle Murphy, 91 years young as of last week. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
And welcome back to Sports Opinion. It's your show, and you started. Yeah.
Welcome back, man.
Earle is back.
It's been a long summer, Murphy.
Yeah, it has. You all right?
I'm fine.
Good.
The place I ended up at is a wonderful place.
Briarwood, yeah.
And it is a well-run organization.
Now, are they going to have the show on TV tonight?
I think they are.
Good.
I hope they do, because I'm going to say some nice things about them.
Oh, good. Hello to the folks at Briarwood.
Yeah.
And thanks for putting on Sports Opinion.
Take good care of Murph and Louise, will you?
Yeah. This has got to be more fun to watch, Sports Opinion.
Yes.
Than the Hawkeye football game was last Saturday. We got to talk about it. We got to air our grievances.
Wow.
The Hawks lost to Iowa State. The Hawkeyes were a 10-point favorite and lost 20-17. They haven't covered the spread yet in 3 games.
Yes.
And
there's not many Big Ten teams have.
No. We're going to talk about the Big Ten in a little bit. But first we're going to talk about Iowa and Iowa State. First half was pretty exciting. Hawks led 14-3, and
it was looking good.
It was looking a little scary there at the end of the first half when Iowa State just kept moving the ball, and then their running back fumbled the ball on the goal line.
Yes.
We recovered with about 1:30 to go and did basically nothing with it. Had one good play, and then one bad play, and then Coach Ferentz decided to just run the clock out.
Yeah, but you know, whatever, you dodged a bullet. I mean, the reality of it is it should have been 14-10 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when that happened, when he dropped the ball going over the goal line, he said, you know what? I thought only that could happen to the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
So I thought, maybe this is our day.
Yeah.
Well, not
Then the second half started.
Yeah.
And not much happened. I'm going to just point out a few things and ask you guys to chip in. I was really disappointed in Jake Rudock's play. I thought he had happy feet. I thought he checked down at the line of scrimmage way more than I've seen any Hawkeye quarterback do. I didn't see him looking downfield, although I'm not the expert. I'm guessing that our wide receivers were covered downfield, which has kind of become an age-old problem for the Hawkeyes, getting separation from their defenders. The wide receivers I'm talking about. Jake can't throw to them if they're not open. And we've got a lot of young wide receivers, but we've got some real talent in Derek Willies and Damone Powell. And they didn't get
Smith.
Well, not to mention Tavon Smith, but Willies and Powell never had the ball thrown to them all day.
Nope. Not
once.
Were they even in the game?
They were.
Okay.
They were.
Now, did you notice in the paper this morning, it said Tavon Smith, this was quoted from yesterday's press conference, that he caught a pass.
He did.
And he went down and he got right up and he stared down the Iowa coaching staff. Basically, he said in the paper today, you know, give us a chance to catch the ball. I mean, everybody you talk to, every person I've talked to since that game, to a person, is very critical of what you just said. Yeah, we're not on the field, but you know what? If you have athletes and you have playmakers, you gotta give them a chance to catch. You have to go vertical once in a while to loosen up the defense.
I have to go with the running game.
Oh, yeah,
I am not going. We do not follow our blockers like we did last year.
No, there are holes, and
That's
running
right.
backs aren't hitting them.
Right. I don't think it's so, I'm not upset with Jake as much as I am the running game.
Well, if
We
you
have
have, if
not-
you have a running
We
game,
have not had a runner yet go over 50 yards.
Isn't that
That's right.
something? Isn't that
Now,
something?
there's something wrong there.
Sorry, Bob.
And I'm not
Yeah.
blaming the coaching staff, but we're not following the,
They should be able to run against the three teams we played.
Well, and that's
Good point, Murph.
Murph.
That's right.
That's
That's
the
right.
other thing. We have played 3 inferior opponents, and I'm going to emphasize the word inferior. Northern Iowa and FCS school, Ball State, a team that last weekend got beat by Indiana State.
Indiana State last year went 1-11.
Yeah. And now Iowa State, who may not win another game the rest of the year. A team that was 0-2 coming in here and was really reeling from injuries at key positions, defections. There were fire Coach Rhodes rumors everywhere. And this team came into Kinnick Stadium. They were quicker than Iowa. They were more fired up than Iowa. And quite frankly, they outcoached Iowa in pretty much every facet of the game.
Mark Mangino and quarterback Cunningham picked Iowa apart in the second half.
Yep.
Picked them apart.
Yeah. These are 3 inferior opponents that Iowa has failed to score upon effectively. The offense has not shown improvement.
I think there's one coach that does a wonderful job, and that's our defensive coach.
Parker?
No, from West High.
Yeah,
I'm drawing a blank. See his face?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Joe's going to help us out with that. Former West High, Reese Morgan.
Reese Morgan, yeah.
He does a great job with that defense.
Well, our defensive line, especially, you know,
Yes, that's right.
They've done a very good job resisting the rush. But as far as
Pass rush?
pass rush, they didn't
No,
get
we
any
haven't had a
pressure on the
sack or-
quarterback.
It was these.
Well, I think
But
we
Iowa's
sacked
tough
them.
to run against. But
Yes.
you know what? Why would you run against Iowa?
The pass is open all day long.
Why would you run against the Hawks? And everybody's seen that, you know, and that's what's killing us. Northern Iowa,
does
Ball
Pitt
State, Iowa
have a
State,
good
they all
passer?
did it to us.
I don't know about Pitt's passing game, but I do know they average 350 yards rushing
Oh my God.
per game. Iowa averages 65 yards given up by the defense rushing per game. So, you know, 2 worlds are going to collide here on Saturday at 11 a.m. By the way, this game Saturday is on ESPNU. ESPNU. Some of you out there don't get it.
That's
But-
right.
but I think if they don't get it, they can go to our cable company,
Oh.
their channel.
Oh,
That, they did that for basketball.
and requested
If you
for,
couldn't get it in the Iowa City area, you could go
Yeah.
to, I'm not saying that for sure,
that would be MediaCon.
but MediaCom.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's 22.
Yeah.
Oh, they go to cable connections or
Yeah.
whatever they call it, connections.
Right. I think that's,
22. That'd be nice if they did that.
and then getting back to Pittsburgh, and I'm sure you guys know about this, but that's an assistant Wisconsin coach, who's the head coach there.
Oh,
and he's
That's right.
runs all the time.
Is
Paul
this
Christ?
Is this Christ?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
You
You
know-
know, Wisconsin to take this job over.
That's right.
But you know, that's a good point, and what Murph brought up earlier too. I mean, they have a great rushing attack, and it's a Wisconsin style as well, a pro style. And you know what? That might be a better matchup for us than some of these teams that we've played with the spread,
I hope.
That's right.
I hope.
because their strength is definitely the rushing game. And well, their 6'2", 250-pound tailback isn't he averaging about 180 yards a game? rushing?
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of yards.
Yeah, and he's as Hayden Fry used to say, he's a rolling ball of butcher knives.
Yeah, he's one of
But
those.
now, who have they played?
Um,
Tough team last week, but outside of that,
I think they played Boston College,
that
didn't
first
they?
game, and outside
And beat
of
them
that,
pretty good
Yeah,
And Boston College is the team that beat USC
That's
last
right.
Saturday.
last
so-
Saturday night, and they didn't just squeak by.
Yeah.
They dominated USC they've got a great quarterback at BC. We'll see.
What's Pitt's record?
They're 3-0.
3-0.
Yep,
Yeah.
3-0.
But I have faith in the Hawkeyes.
Well, and we're certainly not preaching to turn your back on the Hawkeyes, but as I said at the beginning of the show, it's sports opinion, and we are going to air our grievances. We've had 4 days to digest and regurgitate the bile of choking down a loss to a very inferior Iowa State team. It was just galling, and I got to tell you, the fourth quarter was just slow Chinese water torture. It just wouldn't end. All the TV timeouts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about TV timeouts, but I looked at my buddy there on Iowa State's last drive, and I said, it's just like, waiting for the executioner to drop the guillotine on you.
I feel very strongly that what will ruin crowds
Yep.
is timeouts.
Yep. You got it, Earl. Did you see Pat Hardy's article in the Press Citizen yesterday?
I don't read him very often.
No, I didn't.
Well, Pat Hardy, and he called me and said, I'm going to write an article because of what you said on the radio. I called in Saturday morning on KCJJ and just reiterated that the TV timeouts are driving me nuts. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote an article, and it was in yesterday's paper, and he talked about what's going to kill, just like you said, it's going to kill attendance at college football. Mm-hmm. The TV timeouts are more than they were last year, and they appear to be longer. There are a number of 5-minute commercial breaks, and if you watch at home, it's really hard to appreciate what it does to those in attendance at the game. But just as soon as there's any momentum, boom, there's a stoppage, and there's 5-minute break. Then you get a return to the
Are they
game.
allowed 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Wow.
5 minutes. And there was a point in the fourth quarter where I can't remember which team kicked the hoop, but we kicked the one team to the other, and as soon as that ball was down, there's a 5-minute break. Very next play, boom. I think there was an injury, 5-minute break. I got up in the fourth quarter and I walked the entire length of the stadium. I just was my skin was crawling. I can't sit there with nothing going on and being squeezed in, and paying $70 for the privilege to do it. I don't know what the solution is. There have been suggestions.
Well,
I
they've
think they
done
should-
wrong Saturday, and people don't know this, and they don't want to come out and tell the truth. The students did not buy season tickets. They had 8,000 student tickets left. So they went to the public, and they got the numbers in the student section. So
Yep.
there wasn't room for the students that went and bought the tickets to sit in their section.
Yep.
They tried to take my seat twice.
Yep.
I mean, because the students think that's their section.
That's right.
And they can sit down. Well, it's not anymore because they sold 8,000
To the public.
with the number on there to the public.
Yeah.
And that's one bad thing that they need to watch what they're doing over there.
Well, they're chasing a lot of people away, is what you're saying.
Oh, I know it.
And losing hurts.
Yeah,
And
they're
Yeah.
losing a lot of good fans. They're losing the
really
student
hurts.
body.
That's right.
But boy, they're controlling that tailgating experience and all of that for 20 idiots. 7 Saturdays out of 365 days that have changed the whole complexion of that place over there, and it's going to cost them.
And people
It's really going to cost
upset.
them if they start losing.
People, I've had more people call me, well, where are you? I said,
Yeah.
49. Well, where in the hell? On Melrose, are you in front of one of those houses? I said, no,
Yeah.
they made a parking lot clear in the back for it. I mean, it's bad.
But you're right too about the timeouts, and it just changes the whole complexion of the game for everybody that's there.
I don't like those timeouts, but what I do look at, is the $43 million we'll be getting at the end of the season.
Well, it's
Well,
going to
they're going
cost
to have
them.
to get it there because they're
gonna-
chasing all the fans away.
Well, yeah, they're gonna get
So
it
they
there.
get it from the Big Ten Network. Goody for them.
Yep.
Look what
But the
happened to them.
stadiums will not
Look
be
what
as full.
happened to me.
Yep.
Some rich guy bought my seat, so they moved me.
You see, that's what's happening over there.
Yes, I
And
know
it's
it.
happening everywhere else, I'm sure.
This is not an Iowa thing, and it's not
No.
the
Yeah.
university's fault that all these TV timeouts are clogging up the
No.
game. And I'll say something else. It's the exact same thing at basketball. You go to a men's
Yeah,
or
it is.
women's game, and the stoppages are just mind-boggling. It has really changed my attitude towards attending the games. I got season tickets for men and women and football and wrestling, and you don't have that issue with wrestling unless it's a great big meet like Penn State or Iowa State, and then you do have it. You have a few timeouts where you didn't have them before.
But what you have to remember on this, and I don't like it, but you have to look at the University of the Big Ten. We pay for every sport,
Football,
not taxpayers.
right?
The income from it. We pay for every woman's sport, every sport that goes on there. We pay for it.
The athletic department does.
But they're
Athletic department, yeah.
they're going to the TV timeouts. It may seem or sound insignificant to most people, but if you're at the games, it's a different environment than before, and it's crossed the line. What's the phrase about the golden goose? You know, well, I think the fans have been the golden goose for a long time. We continue to pay more and more and more every year for tickets, for contributions. And again, this is not a swipe at the athletic department.
Why not?
Well,
I
because
think it is.
it's
I disagree with you.
no.
Someone like this guy that's been going for years, they don't care where he sits.
That's right.
But I'm
He's
talking
got-
about TV timeouts.
Oh, okay, but I'm saying, you said it's not the athletic department. I say it is.
The stuff you're talking about is,
Well,
but the
that-
TV timeouts,
that's
that's,
where they
not
get
their
all the money.
dictate.
He followed me because I was the first one to sit right behind the band.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want to, and Amici, who was the athletic director after Bob?
Afterbump, Bob
Bowlesby.
Bowlesby.
Bob Bowlesby. He went back to 1970 on, and redistributed.
In terms of how to prioritize
Yeah,
people's
And if I gave,
giving.
say, $10,000 prior to this, it
Didn't count.
That doesn't
It's
count.
gone.
You're right. They started that whole thing in the mid-'70s.
Yeah, it
They
wasn't
blamed
70,
it
it
on
was like
we're-
74.
now we're computerized.
Yeah.
So all those
Well, let me-
handwritten
Let
records.
me tell you something happened to me. I went to our files. And there's something like $4,000 of mine was never reported. They must have knew I was checking into it because the gal calls me yesterday and said, we made a mistake last December and we didn't give you credit for all those flowers. So you don't know what's going on over there. You have the train coming, you got somebody taking the train money. And,
Yeah,
you know,
all
You
those.
buy a program,
No.
I used to every game.
oh my God, they got employees and employees
yeah.
and employees.
Yeah.
I get phone calls. I got one yesterday from another out-of-state source. They call at my
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and they identify themselves as being a representative of the University of Iowa Athletic Department, and did I want to buy advertising for my clients in the football program? It's always the first question I respond with is, where are you calling from?
India.
Oh, no, this one was from Phoenix.
Oh,
Phoenix.
boy.
I said, no, thanks. And he said, don't you want your clients to be in the program? I said, no, no. They farm it out. They farm all those
The
sales.
line is, you want to enhance your relationship with the U of I
Yeah.
athletic department.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how they respond when I say, no, thanks. Don't you want your clients to have an enhanced relationship? No.
But this is the first one I thought of right here. as
Earle.
many years
Yeah.
that he's been going to, and Faithful and Louise coming
And
to him.
generous.
They're nothing now.
Yep.
Whoever's running the show over there. Not, I mean, he has to Ferentz and Bump and
In all fairness to the athletic department, my giving was on a different basis.
well, I know, but
Yeah.
still,
Giving is giving.
But you know what? Earl's 91 years old now, and let's be relative to Kinnick Stadium. He's older than Kinnick
Yes.
Stadium.
Congratulations.
You know, and he's been a supporter ever since he could be a supporter. Probably since
haven't
he was-
thought about
I
that.
really started in 1933, 34.
There you go.
With Ozzie Simmons.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to.
That's
he
only
carried-
80 years ago.
I had an operation on my foot, and we lived at 912 South Dubuque Street,
Right down the street here.
Yeah, yeah.
and I did that 5 or 6 times, and I finally caught up with him in 1958, 59.
Was that at Madison?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was with Ozzie Simmons and
Duke Slater.
Duke Slater.
And they sat next to you at the Wisconsin-Iowa. game,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
it with me.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
Yes.
Well, there have been a lot of changes since then in college athletics and Big Ten football. And, basically the four of us here represent 4 different generations.
And one of the guys that Eddie Anderson, he was a great guy. And he took 39. He took that team. I think they were 8-1 or something, 7-1, 8-1.
8-1-1.
The
right?
Ironman.
The Ironman team
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Niall Kinnick.
Yeah, 39.
Yes.
yeah.
And that was the first team. I call that the modern era.
39.
Yeah, starting.
Well, and think that's been 75 years ago.
Is that right?
The modern era
I was
started
one.
75 years ago.
Didn't they have the surviving Ironman here? a couple
Yeah,
weeks
Henry
ago?
Vollenweger was
Yeah.
here for,
Yeah,
was it
From-
last weekend?
From
Ball State, wasn't it?
Ball State, yeah.
Yeah.
From Dubuque, Iowa.
The one and only surviving member of the
From
Ironman.
Dubuque.
Now let me ask you guys this, buddy. You're going to Pittsburgh. You're going to see the Hawkeyes in Pittsburgh. Is there anybody here that thinks we're going to win the game?
I do.
I don't.
I don't.
I'd like to believe.
I'd like to believe
they
that, but
will.
not the way that we're playing. I don't.
But I just have it, and I've had other people ask me the same question or tell me, like Bud, that they're going to
Yeah.
win. And I said, what have the Hawkeyes shown us to date after 3 home games against inferior opponents that leads you to believe that they can go to a Division I school on the road like Pitt and win? What is it?
Like we did last year, got beat by Northern Illinois and went on and beat. No one had any faith in us.
Northern Illinois
We
was
had
a
to
very
win.
good team.
We had to win
Yeah.
the 2 last games last year, and nobody picked us.
No.
Nobody.
No.
That's
We're
true.
underdog all, and
That's
I
true.
think he's going to get this thing turned around. Now, remember last Saturday when 4 minutes was left in the game? What did we do? What did we do that we haven't done all year long? Kicked a
Kicked a field goal.
42-yard field goal to tie the game.
Yeah. That baby had some curve on it,
I
too.
know, but we tied the game up. So
Yeah.
you have to say we got beat in the last 4 minutes. Now, how did we get beat? How did we get beat?
Gave up a ton of yards on
No,
defense.
no.
Well, there were a few
We
penalties
took
in there.
timeout.
Yeah.
You mean when
He
they
got the
kicked their field
second,
goal?
when they,
Yeah.
we took timeout. We
Did he
had-
miss
he
that
missed
first
that.
field goal attempt? I couldn't tell
Yes,
from my
he missed
angle.
it.
What did the
Yeah,
announcer
but guy.
say?
Okay, now I can't fault our coach for calling timeout. 'Cause
I'm not doing that. What I'm
if
saying,
I'm in that position, I'm freezing the kicker too.
Yeah.
how many
you know,
times
so-
do you do that? You don't freeze them though.
Well, yeah, but you got to try it if you got to
But
timeout.
there was some good points there and a lot of bad points. And they get to. First of all, I want those runners to follow their blocks.
It'd be nice.
Yes.
And I just don't know
And
what's
that's how you
changed.
get away.
What has happened to our offensive line, and what has happened to our running backs? If you were at the Garden Club Friday, we heard Marv Cook talk about this game being tailor-made for the Hawkeye running game because the Hawkeyes employ what's called a zone read run offense, and basically that means the offensive line in unison moves one direction or the other, left or right, and the running back follows and doesn't hit a hole, they hit a zone where when they get to it, the hole will open. But when they head for that zone, that area, there's no hole there yet. And he said, Marv Cook told us that Iowa State didn't have the horses, didn't have the talent. They've either been decimated by injury or defection or just recruiting. And they did, this was tailor-made. And I really felt he was right, and I still think he was right. I just don't understand how we can't hit that zone. There are holes. There were big holes Saturday against Iowa State.
Well, then why didn't we run through
I
them?
don't know.
Okay, I mean, if the hole is big enough, they're going to run through it. But you know what
That's
you
right.
can't measure? You can talk about size and injuries and all of that. One thing you can't measure is motivation.
Yep.
And I don't care what Iowa State says. This is their bowl game.
Yep.
That's right.
And they're going to end up 3-9 or something like that. And to Northern Iowa's defense, though, that Northern Iowa will do fine. I mean, they lost to Ohio in a close game, but
Yep.
they'll have a good football team at Northern Iowa in their division. But you know, Iowa State going to finish about 3-9. Maybe if they're lucky, 4-8.
Ooh, I don't see that getting any
And
better.
you know, but
How did
they
you not-
just come in here more readily prepared to play us than
But
we do
you
for
have to
them.
remember, they should have beat Kansas State.
That's right,
but they didn't.
They did, but they should have.
That's right. We
And
should have
that's
beat
what people-
Iowa State, but we
And
didn't.
that's what people are saying about
Yeah.
us now.
Yeah.
We should have beat them.
Oh, yeah. Should have beaten them by 21
But that
points.
doesn't mean we're not gonna go on and have a good season.
And I don't,
Well,
John
things are
Street-
going to have to change.
there's
John
going to have to be, I'm sorry, Earl, go ahead.
John Street was in to see me,
Yeah?
Yeah.
and he sees me every morning.
Oh,
And he always gives me a daily island. And he said, I believe like Supple. He said, we're going to win 10 straight.
10 straight. Well, I hope so.
Well, I hope you're right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 straight.
Okay.
That'd be great. That'd make them 12-1. And that would be really nice. But again, I'll reiterate, I have seen absolutely nothing from the offense or the defense that leads me to believe they can go to Pitt and win the next one. There's been no spark. And here's another thing. I don't see any senior leadership on this team. I don't see individuals rising up and taking over the situation, whether it's on offense or defense.
And I don't see any, I don't have any confidence in our offensive coaching staff.
No, Greg Davis is under fire this week, and we've
Is
heard.
he?
Oh yeah, it's it's all over the papers. It's all over the internet. People want him and Kirk fired. Was
I
it
don't-
Forbes
I
magazine?
don't-
Oh, I get tired of that.
Forbes magazine ran an
Well,
article
yeah, you do.
this
Oh, I
week.
get so tired of that.
Yeah, Forbes magazine
I
ran
don't
an
even turn
article
on it.
and talked about whether Coach Ferentz should be fired because he has a contract
The
at
salary,
$3 million a year.
salary.
Yeah, 2020.
Is this
That's-
a Forbes magazine?
Yeah, the Forbes magazine.
They get involved in sports? I didn't know
They
that.
got involved in the economic side of this situation.
Okay.
And basically said that Iowa can't afford to fire him, and they won't.
No.
Not now.
And I can remember last year we were 4-3 and went on to be 8-4.
Yeah.
And the same guys were saying fire him.
Yep.
We hear that about every year. last
And
year.
after every loss,
Yeah.
after every loss, it's not going to happen. And I think we're all pretty proud to have Kirk Ferentz represent
Oh,
the
excuse me.
university.
Well, I agree with that, but I will say this. The product on the field is not what Hawkeye fans expect.
No,
The product on the field is stale.
it's boring.
There needs to be some change. Now, we talk about the money we're paying the coach, and we all think he's a great coach. He runs a very good program and graduates 81% of his athletes. That's all real important.
Yes, it is.
But when you're paying the guy whatever, then you expect more. And
No,
it
I've
is
been
their
told-
job to produce, not
And-
our job, their job to produce the winning team.
Bob, I've been told that he makes $3 million, he makes $3.5 million, he makes $4 million, he makes $5.5 million.
No, it's not that high.
It isn't that much.
No.
It's
No,
3.5
wait.
I'd say 4 with the bonus situation. And he's right at
That's
4.
right.
with
Yeah.
bonuses.
Yeah, with all this other stuff, yeah.
But now the coach at Michigan, just his salary is $5.5 million.
Yeah.
And he's not meeting expectations up there.
Yeah, and you know
Not
what?
that's
You know what? He's got a
the only reason
5-year
they do it.
contract.
Yeah.
And this is his 4th year. And he'll be lucky if he makes it to his 5th year. But
Yep.
if that doesn't change, here's the difference. After that 5 years, 5.5, whatever they're paying, he'll be gone.
Yeah.
They'll make a change.
And let's be honest, if Kirk was coaching in the Pac-12 or the Big 12, he'd be gone. They wouldn't put up with a 4-8 season, and that'd be that. But we're not
Well, now,
the Big
what do you
8,
mean, the Big 12?
Yeah,
the Big 12, the Pac-12,
Well,
other
but Big 12,
conferences.
why didn't they get rid of Iowa State's coach last year?
He's still very much in danger of
I
losing
don't
his
think
job.
he is. I don't.
Beating
As long as he
Iowa
keeps-
really helps
keeps
keep
beating
his
That really
Iowa,
helped him,
That's
yeah.
all he has
It
to
really helps, but I don't see them winning another game.
do. I do.
I do. I see him winning
Who
2
they
or
gonna
3
beat?
more.
Who they
Yeah, I
going to
do
beat?
too.
I don't know.
Well,
but you
this
know what?
weekend,
They
they
were
could-
supposed to beat us.
Yeah.
And they
could
should have
win
beat
this
Kansas
weekend.
State, but didn't.
Who do they play this weekend?
Next weekend stuff.
Baylor, I believe.
Baylor,
They won't beat Baylor.
and that's at Ames. But then they go to Oklahoma State.
But see, he always pulls off a couple he
That's
shouldn't.
right.
He shouldn't win.
I'll never forget the
Yeah.
year he beat Nebraska.
How about Oklahoma State cost him a chance in the
Yeah.
national championship
Well,
team?
that's, you can remember the year they beat Nebraska. That doesn't happen too often.
No.
Oh, that's what I mean.
And I just don't think they have the team this year. I don't think they have the talent. I just don't.
Well, one thing I think I want to express here is we like our coaching staff. I mean, you know, we don't want to see any changes. We just want to see them get better. Do we really want to see any change?
I want to see the offense change. I want to see them throw downfield. I want to see the runners hit their holes. I want to see Jake Rudock come up to the line of scrimmage and not check down. In other words, don't call an audible every single time, which is what he's doing. Run the play that was called. Look downfield. He looked scared to me on Saturday. He looked afraid. He would not stay in the pocket even when he had time. He took off running, and he's not a running quarterback.
But we have to remember, Dirk, that against Northern Iowa, he marches down the field to win the game.
Yes, he
Against
did.
Ball State, he
Did the
marches
same thing.
down the field to win with 2 drives. You know, so
It was like
that was pretty much on him. I mean, he did.
Those were the only times in the game
Yeah, but still.
where we did that, and
he
it
did
was good. And we praised him here on the show for stepping up big.
Well, I'm not going to criticize anyone.
All right, let me.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, we're sort of not in a position to criticize, are we?
No, that's right. You're absolutely right, Murph. That's just the way I feel.
But,
Now, if
but
you
the
wanna do
Hawkeye
the-
Nation is
After
upset.
Well, who's the Hawkeye Nation?
Everybody.
The
all
fans.
Yeah, they're
after 9 games, if we haven't done any of this stuff, then I can see it.
Absolutely.
Give them a chance.
Yeah.
And we are, and I don't mean to imply that we
It
aren't.
doesn't sound like it.
Well, I'm
It's
simply.
awful early to be talking
Yes.
this way, but I was going for an undefeated season.
I
really-
was too.
Big Ten? Well, that
Well,
leads
okay,
us to
yeah.
talk of the Big Ten. We've all read the stories, the Big Ten's down. We've all seen the results of Big Ten games against out-of-conference opponents, and the Big Ten hasn't fared well. Michigan State's gone out to Oregon, a very
Yeah.
good Oregon team, and
Sure.
lost. A very close, it wasn't so close at the end. Michigan went to Notre Dame and got slaughtered, got shut out.
Bobby Elliott had a field day.
Yeah.
They didn't score a touchdown.
Good for him. I was pulling for Notre Dame, for sure. I don't like Michigan. And,
I don't, that's a Big Ten team. I don't like them either.
Yeah, don't like either one.
I hate to say it, but I was pulling for Oregon against Michigan State, too, because I just don't like that.
I can't cheer against the Big Ten when they're playing.
Oh, I can.
I can more now since it's East and West.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're right.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Big Ten hasn't fared well this early season in the first 3 weeks, and
They're 1-10 against Big Five conference.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So nobody expects the Big Ten to accomplish anything. Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, many expect the Big Ten to lose all the bowl games they play because they're just inferior. Is this true? Is the Big Ten down? Is the Big Ten inferior to the other super conferences, the ACC, the Southeast, Big 12, Pac-12?
Well,
I'd say we're down.
yeah. I think they're all inferior to the SEC. But
Agreed.
I don't know how much. I mean, yeah, we haven't had a very good record this year against the other conferences, but Bud's right. We're down. The conference as a whole. I think most people would admit that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reasons for that are varied. Part of it's geography, part of it's timing. When a conference or a school in one of the super conferences like the Southeast get on a roll, that's where the kids are going to go. Look at the Piersbacher kid from Cedar Falls, commits to Iowa verbally, and then Alabama comes in late. He says, I've changed my mind. And as a freshman, he is second string on the Alabama offensive line. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
And the reason it is very impressive also is I believe they had either 4 or 5 offensive line 5-star recruits
Yeah.
that came with his class. So he's beaten out some pretty good talent, I would think.
Yes. You know, at lunch Monday, Bump and I were talking
Yeah.
about recruiting specifically. And the Big Ten just can't compete with the SEC when every year they are signing 30 and 35 and 40 kids.
That's different recruiting.
Yeah. It's a whole different style. Well, who
Okay.
knows what's
And then
going
they let
on?
them go, the guys that don't.
Right. It's
Yeah.
not a 4 or 5 year
Yeah.
commitment. It's a 1 year with a possible renewal.
That's right.
That's how they do it down there. There's
Which is-
no commitment.
Which is what all scholarships are, really. But we don't honor our scholarships.
So when we tell them they're gonna be here.
Yeah.
And most Big
Yeah.
Ten
What
schools
you
do the
have
same
to-
thing,
That's
if
right.
not all of
You
them.
have to remember, I had a friend of mine tell me Sunday morning that his son goes to, or his grandson goes to high school down in Texas.
It's religion
They
down
play
there.
football year-round down in Texas.
Yeah, they do.
Friday night's football game, they had 19,800 fans. Well, Northern Iowa don't have hold that much. 19,000, this is high school.
Yeah.
They built a $70 million stadium down there, a high school stadium here a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
That's something.
Yes.
You believe
And,
that?
and
Holding
the
like
schools
whatever,
themselves
20,000.
are suffering.
so these
Yeah.
kids want to stay down in that southern
Right.
tier.
And they want to play football in warm weather. They don't
Yeah.
want to freeze
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
tushes off up here. It's hard to get these kids out of Florida. And at Iowa, let's face it, we're never going to be Ohio State. We're never going to be Michigan or even Penn State for that
Or
matter.
even Wisconsin.
Or, well, I don't know about that.
Well, I do, they're a lot bigger than we are. They got things going for them.
The Big Ten network does
Alvarez
help though in
got-
that respect.
You know, that's one thing. A lot of schools don't, a lot of states don't have the schools that
Right.
Iowa has.
Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin,
Not that,
none
right.
of them have competition
That's right.
at the Division I level. None.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other Division I school for football in those states. Missouri, I don't think they do either.
Iowa too.
Iowa has 2.
Iowa and Iowa State. Can you imagine if we didn't have an Iowa State?
Yeah. Think if Minnesota had to split, or Wisconsin had to split,
Yeah.
or Nebraska had to split. Missouri, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just, you know, it's a built-in disadvantage. And then you talk
Yeah.
about population size, and we're the smallest. So Kirk and his staff always have their work cut out for them. They're never going to be able to just select who they want. They're going to have to get lucky
Did
and
we
coach
get
up.
a number 1 football player this year? Recruiting?
I don't
I don't
think
think so. I don't know who it would have been.
so. Got one,
We
two.
don't have any 5 stars, and I think we had just a couple 4 stars.
What's the #1 recruit for Iowa last year was the receiver that went to Iowa State, true freshman, that played for West Des Moines Dowling or what's the other school over there?
Let's talk about the Iowa football players, recruits. This King is a good football player.
Yes.
Who?
King.
Our cornerback.
The 14th.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He's come out of nowhere.
Yes.
He started last year when, who was it?
Was he around last year?
Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a
He
starter
was
as
a true freshman
last year.
in the defensive backfield. and
Somebody got hurt.
It was either Nico
He done
Law.
good, Murph.
I think it was Law that
He
got
did
hurt.
good for us last year.
Yeah, oh
Yes.
gosh, yeah. And now they
yeah.
can't get him out of the lineup.
Yes.
And Nico Law, gone.
Yeah.
He's the one who sucker punched his own teammate this summer, and he's the same guy who sucker punched a City High kid
A year ago.
a year
yeah.
before that.
Yeah,
And
so-
he should have been gone a year before. But,
Where did he end up, by the way?
He
Did he go to Northern Iowa?
No. He's out of state. He's long
Okay.
gone. I want to say Stony Brook or something like that, but I'm
Okay.
probably confusing him with our
running
running back.
But look at the Iowa City boys. That's one I could not believe.
Who?
But he's back.
Who?
Oh, Jake Gannon
Shake hands.
Oh, yeah.
came back to
Last
the team.
week.
He had some anxiety issues.
Well, that's good that
Yeah.
he's back. He's a fifth-year senior,
Yeah.
and they've had their share of injuries, so Iowa State can sure use him.
He was a big commit for them, and he's been a stalwart on their defensive line, correct? Or is he offensive?
Offensive line,
line,
yeah.
okay. He
Right-
missed
right
two.
tackle, I think.
He's Mark Gannon's nephew.
Yeah.
That's
He went
correct.
to West High, Mark's brother's kid. Really
Mike.
good student, and he was a standout at West High.
Yeah.
Iowa didn't even offer him, and Iowa State did, and he's been at least a 3-year starter for them.
Yes.
And he left the team, I want to say, after the first game, when they lost to North Dakota State. And everybody assumed it was because of
Him.
coaching or, the atmosphere, that things were going really sour. And it turns out he's been struggling with anxiety and depression. And since he left the team, he's gotten some counseling, gotten some help, and realized
week's
that
time.
football was good for him and not
Yeah.
distraction.
A week's time,
Who?
he got taken care of in a week's time.
Oh, it's a couple weeks.
2 weeks.
Couple weeks.
But Paul Rhodes helped him get the counseling.
Yeah, it doesn't take a
That's
long
what they
time to
said.
get turned around. When you're in a funk with anxiety, I mean, I've got a number of
Yeah.
family members who have dealt with these anxiety issues, and they're real, and they can overwhelm you and destroy your life. If you just talk it out and maybe get some meds.
How's your boy doing?
My boy's good. Oh, I got to tell you, last night he had his first home football game for Regina 8th graders.
Yeah.
And they played Mid-Prairie, who shows up with 34 kids across the field. Paul's team has 12 kids dressed.
That's it?
That's it. They've had
Wow.
two injuries and one quit, maybe 2 quit. 12 kids dressed for the game. Mid-Prairie takes the opening kickoff and runs it back for a touchdown. You're thinking, oh boy, it's going to be another 35-point running clock game here real quick. And they got down 25-12, and I had to leave to take my daughter to choir practice. And when Paul got home, I said, well, how'd it go? He said, we won. We beat them 26-25. We scored.
Oh, wow.
We scored late in the game, and
What, this 8th grade team
he
against 8th grade
is
team?
just 8th grade. Yep, just 8th graders. And last year, when
Now he plays both ways.
Oh,
They
yeah,
got-
everybody plays both
everybody
ways.
out. So what's he play?
he's a center, snaps the ball on offense.
Yeah.
And he loves that. And he plays defensive back on defense. I think that's just because he's so slow that he can't he can't mess up anything on the interior that way.
12 guys. Wow.
12
that's-
guys.
Numbers are down there.
This last year, Mid-Prairie played the same team and slaughtered them. 35-point clock at halftime. Just slaughtered them. And so this year it looked to be the same. And this was a big win for those kids.
Yeah,
And
good way
Paul
to
told
start.
me that after the game, they have a star running back at Mid-Prairie who's really gifted, really fast, a very good running back. And Paul said the kid was crying at the end of the game.
Oh, man.
I said, there's no crying in football.
No, that's not good.
Say Clear Creek, Amanda is coming. They got an
Yeah.
Iowa staff.
That's right. There you go.
Matt Hughes and his
Yeah.
father, who both of whom used to be at Regina,
Yes.
are now, I think they're co-head coaches, are they?
Yeah, I think
At
so.
Clear Creek, does
Yeah.
that sound right?
I
Clear
think
Creek.
that-
They're
The
playoff
dad.
bound.
I'd like to tell this story.
Yeah?
After after Clear Creek got beat out last year, the dad come over and helped Marv when they went to the state tournament.
That's
Oh,
great.
did he really?
Yeah,
That's great.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of Regina, they had another big win last week over
Yeah.
Sigourney Keota at home. The famous spinner offense that Sigourney Keota has employed for decades did not seem to bother the Regina
Well, it
defenders.
wasn't the coach
Marv?
funny at
Yeah, at Garden Club, he told us that the spinner offense, and it's kind of hard to describe unless I can get up and show you, but you've got three potential running backs behind the quarterback. Quarterback takes a snap, turns around, keeps his back to the defense, and spins around and fakes a handoff to two of the running backs, and one of them gets the ball. And Marv said his coaches had been losing sleep all week long. And Marv said, I don't know what the problem is. As soon as that quarterback turns around again, hit him right in the chest every single time. And I think that's what his defense did. Because they...
Did Sigourney even throw a pass?
I don't remember. Yeah.
But I know last year, that's the team we almost got beat by.
Sigourney Keota?
I went down to that game, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've got a
They've had
storied
good
tradition.
teams, not
Yes.
combined.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
They go to Eddyville, Blakesburg. Is there a third town that's involved there?
I don't know. Is that down by Ottumwa? Where's that?
Yeah.
at?
It's way down there. It's a good 2-hour drive, maybe more. So they go there. Then also, it wasn't a good weekend again for the public schools in Iowa City. West High went to Kingston Stadium and lost to Cedar Rapids, Washington. A very good Cedar Rapids, Washington
They
team.
say their offensive line is huge.
Really?
Yeah.
They're ranked third in the state, Washington, I think.
28 to nothing.
That was a good team.
28 to
good
nothing.
team.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Regina kid,
At Wash?
grandson's there,
Who?
Akers.
Oh,
He caught 2 passes last week.
I'll be darned. Well, and then City High got beat in their inaugural game with Ames. They're going to play that every year on the same weekend, the night before the Iowa State
good.
game. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of unique. And Ames, I hate to say it, but they just had their way with City High, 44-20. City High's 0-3. West High's 1-2. And if any, I was putting together the script for the show, and I thought, we are pretty fortunate in this community. We've talked about it year after year.
Yes.
All the good high school football talent in this town. Now this year, things aren't starting out that way, but it just, if nothing else, makes me appreciate all the talent we've had at these high school levels for years in this area, and we still do. I mean, look at
Definitely.
Solon, look at West Branch, look
Right.
at Clear Creek.
Yeah.
Mount Vernon's back. They're
In
not really in
defense
this
of
area.
City High, there's not another team that have to play Benton North, Washington, and Ames.
And Ames.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a long time probably since City High was started a season 0-3.
Oh, I'm
They've
sure
had
it is.
fine football there
That's got to
forever.
be. I bet it's been 30, 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
it's,
they never had.
Yeah, maybe never.
No, I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
very
Mark's right.
unusual, and
It's usual.
Well, we heard Coach
they've
Sabers
had
talk.
their injury problems too.
Yeah, they have. But
Yeah.
their biggest problem at City High is numbers.
Yeah.
And I just learned last week and had it reiterated Monday when we heard City High coach Brian Sabers. Brian? No, Dan.
Dan Sabers.
When we heard him speak at the Monday morning quarterback luncheon this week, he talked not only about the drop in numbers, which is an ongoing issue. It's been going on there at City High for years. But now there's no 7th grade football at any or in either of the private
public system,
schools
yeah.
in
That's terrible.
junior high.
Absolutely.
And
It
it's
is
all
terrible.
about money. It's not about safety or concern for the welfare of the kids. It's about money. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Now, the money, and that's a scary situation because he said typically at Southeast and Northwest in 7th grade combined, you probably have 45 to 48 players out for football.
Yeah.
Okay? But now they don't have 7th grade football in the school system, so they do have a flag football system. And what did he say? 7th grade were out like 24?
It was, yeah.
It was
really
like half.
Shocking numbers.
Yeah, so what's going to happen then, the football that we expect for these schools to play is going to
Oh, yeah.
somewhat disintegrate a little
Yeah.
bit because you have to have the numbers. And if, it's unless they change their budget plans in the near future, and I doubt if they will.
I doubt it too.
Well, look at Regina, only have 12. I think
But
it's-
the eighth
in eighth
grade,
grade, yeah.
or excuse me, the 9th grade, they've got like 25,
I
30
know, but I
kids.
think a lot
And
of
the
this
7th
is
grade's
coming
got
from
about
this,
20.
Getting hit in the head.
Concussion thing.
Concussion.
That's a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
I know,
And
but
it's
I-
real.
This
But
is
it's real.
where a lot of parents don't want their kids to go out for.
That's true.
I don't blame them, but there's an awful lot of good that comes from playing football. I know
Oh, absolutely.
from my
I
own
agree
son's
with you 100%
experience,
on that.
you learn to work together as a group. You learn how to be responsible for yourself as an individual and how that pushes your group or your team forward. You learn leadership and you learn how to follow. You learn both.
And you learn how to be a teammate.
Well, then
Exactly.
I have to ask you this: does this go for cross country? Because
Hell
Regina
no.
cross country has just jumped
Yeah.
to 80,
Doesn't cost
So
any
it-
money to run.
huh? But they're out for sports. They're out with the kids, you know.
Yeah,
You
that's
have to-
healthy.
These parents run a lot of these kids around, and that's what I think.
Oh, tell me about running kids around.
Volleyball.
Sheesh.
The gyms are packed.
Oh, it was last night.
Yeah, they're packed everywhere you go.
And speaking of that, Regina volleyball high school team had a big meet last night with West Liberty, undefeated 14-0 West Liberty, and
Yeah.
Regina gave
No,
them all
not
they could
14
handle.
0 this year.
Right.
14 straight games.
Right.
Some of those go back into last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've only played 2 or 3 games.
Okay. Well, Regina gave them a heck of a game,
Yeah.
or a heck of a contest.
Now,
And,
this week, moving forward, we were talking about Weston City High football, though.
Yeah, the
This is
battle
the
for the
boot,
boot.
right? The boot,
Yes,
yeah.
at West High, the battle for the boot. This is going to be a good game.
I would think so.
I'm taking City High to win it,
Are you? Why?
just because I live on that side of town.
Well, that's a good reason. So, I don't know. You're right. It'll be, yeah, anybody's game, I'd say. Yeah.
But how did Iowa City schools do in baseball?
Terrible.
Well, Regina did well.
Yeah, Regina
Regina
did
was,
okay.
They did pretty good.
Regina
Yeah.
went to state. West High did not do terrible. They had an outstanding regular season.
Yeah.
And they went to state and they lost, I want to say, to the eventual state champion, but I can't remember
I
if
think
that's
you're
true.
right. Yeah.
West
You're right.
High's got a
Wasn't it Valley?
tremendous baseball program.
City High had a tough year.
Brian Mitchell is the head coach at City High, and I believe in Brian Mitchell
Yep.
till the cows come home. It's a numbers game.
Did
Enrollment at City High just continues to drop.
did Brian Mitchell marry
He married a Gable.
Gable?
Yeah, one of Dan Gable's girls,
Yeah.
Jennifer, I think.
Yeah.
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 Jenny?
But
Yeah.
they, City High, or Regina got beat by West High and beat City High.
I went to the
During
Regina
the-
West High game, and Regina had the lead early
Yeah, I
on.
know.
And that was a real good game. Well played game. West High just has horses.
But what do you think, as long as we're on this high school stuff, 2 years, just remember, 2 years, that's short, you got the third high school.
That's going to decimate
Now,
West High.
who's-
Is that when it's supposed to start?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. 2016 or 17?
yeah. Where are these
16.
kids gonna go?
Who?
Well, what if City High loses 15 kids?
I don't think it's a City High issue. It's a total West High issue.
Because of the location.
Right.
However, the kid was gonna be able to go to any school he wants.
No,
First
they're
2 or
not.
3, yes, they are. Yes,
Oh,
they are.
I mean for the first couple of years?
Yes,
Well, because they grandfathered some of these kids in, right, that have already started that high school?
yeah.
Maybe. I
Well,
don't know.
essentially, though, over time, West High is going to lose all of the North Liberty kids, and just about any kid that lives north of Interstate 80. That's going to be
Right.
the new high school's territory. So if you live in
Yeah.
Coralville, behind the Ironman Inn, or anywhere in Coralville north of Interstate 80, you're going to be going to the other high school,
The
the
new
new
high
one.
school.
What's it going to be called?
And another one
Have they
that's gonna
given it a
hurt,
name?
I don't
and
know.
I'm telling you this now,
Liberty High,
Especially
that's
you.
what it is.
Oh, you're right.
that's gonna hurt Regina.
Why?
There's several kids that go to North Liberty, to Regina, the bus goes out there anyway, it's just gonna have, you're gonna have a new school starting
New
out.
school.
And I got a kid that's damn good in football, I want him to go to school where I know he's gonna play.
Well, that'd be Regina.
Yeah, well, and then it'll be some of the City High and Clear Creek, you know, it's gonna be a different thing. Now, you say City High's numbers are going down,
They are.
is the school gonna hurt them? Are they gonna be class 3A?
Don't think, isn't that City High get a lot of Chicago kids?
Yeah. But so does West High.
I would eventually, City High in a couple of years could be a 3A when this new
I do too.
Liberty High School opens out in North Liberty. I'd
That's
say
right,
that could
I
happen.
think that, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. I think City High will do damn good if they do go 3A, because they'll be in with Solon, Xavier, Cedar Rapids,
Yeah.
Waller, Dubuque, I mean, they'll be in,
Assumption,
Yeah.
Assumption, right. So, I mean,
yeah.
but you have to look this thing over.
Well, it's all going to change dramatically when
Yeah.
this new high school opens. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about
It
that.
won't be long.
It'll affect all three high schools.
That's
I would
right.
say it would affect City High less than any the other two.
Well, we've got about 5 minutes left
Yeah.
on the show, and I wanted to see what else you guys wanted to discuss. We can keep talking high school, we can talk Hawks, we can talk
Well-
Big Ten.
I'd like to talk Big Ten.
Yeah.
The head of the Big Ten is a smart guy.
Commissioner Jim Delaney. Had to
Yeah.
think about that for a minute. Well, look what he did. I mean, as much as I've complained about the Big Ten Network, it was groundbreaking and remains groundbreaking and the envy of every other major super conference.
Supposedly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there isn't another conference network that has gotten nationwide exposure. There just isn't.
But there is one now. SEC just started theirs in August.
But we don't get it here,
No, what most people.
and
don't
most
get it.
people don't.
We don't get it here yet.
And that's true.
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't
it'll
think
be
it'll-
here eventually.
Yeah.
Well, but
I'm
I
sure.
don't think it'll spread. Where I go along with Murph on this, we haven't seen the effect of this Big Ten network. We will now, because we will be taking in New York, all those big the school. The thing's going to be. They're already increasing the Big Ten revenue, $7 or $8 million more for each school.
You bring in
We're taking
Rutgers
two
and
in.
Maryland.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I don't think the Big Ten's done in adding schools.
No, and I think this will start helping recruit. I
Yeah.
really do.
I agree.
I think so too.
In increments, it will.
Yeah. I have a friend that just got back from Italy, he and his wife last week. They were on a 2-week trip. And on this trip, there were some couples from New Jersey, East Coast, and Maryland. And 2 couples came up to him and said, one was from Rutgers, one had Maryland ties.
Uh-huh.
And they are thrilled to be in the Big
Well, they
Ten.
should be.
Yes.
And they were talking about the exposure and the Big Ten Network and all of that stuff, and of course the money that's going to come to their programs. But they were emphatic with him that they were just thrilled that they were
Rutgers
joining the
is-
Big Ten this year.
Is New York?
Jersey.
Jersey,
Jersey.
Rutgers is in Jersey,
Yeah.
right outside of New York.
But
Yeah,
Right
I
outside.
meant.
it's still
Yeah.
going to have impact in New
That's-
York.
Oh
New York.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Maryland is going to have impact, again, not just in Maryland, but up and down that area.
Yeah,
I
the
got
East
a
Coast,
friend
Northeast.
that goes to Florida from Maryland, and I needed some tickets because I didn't order them from you.
Sure.
I called down there. I said, "Can you get me any tickets?" Now we had a deal that when you come to Iowa City, I'll get you the tickets.
Sure.
Now I want you to give me 10 tickets.
Did he?
He says, if I could find 10 tickets, I wouldn't sell them to you. I'd be scalping them.
Really?
No tickets allowed. They're all
Wow.
booked every Big Ten game's gone, he said.
Wow.
I'll be
So
darned.
this is going to
I'll
happen.
be darned.
I mean,
That's,
this is going
that's
to be,
interesting.
yeah,
That's, was the Iowa State game, didn't.
Sold out.
yeah, sold out.
And tickets were hard to come by.
Yeah.
We're going to have to, I hate to say it, but we're going to have to wrap it up. We're out of time.
Okay.
Time is hard to come by on the Sports
I'm glad
Opinion
you're back.
TV show. Earl,
Yeah,
we're so
because
glad to
Earl
have you
back.
back. Earl's going to be here every week. So's Bob, so's Bud, and so am I. My name is Dirk. We're happy that you tune in every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Channel 18 and again on Sunday night at 6 p.m. for the rerun. You can also tune into PATV.tv to catch the show, or you can go to my Facebook page and I'll have it there as well. Thanks to Joe Murphy for doing everything behind the lights, behind the camera for us to make this show happen, and thanks to you for tuning in. And remember this, either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks! Whoop the Panthers!
Amen.
Thank you, sir.